Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the new invitation. Next, I will briefly comment on this research project from the Instituto Cultural Argentino, ICA, of Argentina. This project frames within a critical social paradigm, which does not merely describe reality but activity seeks to transform it. It rejects the neutrality of knowledge, recognizing that knowledge is mediated by power relations, interests, and social and historical context. Therefore, research is understood as a political act whose objective is to unveil structures of domination and empower communities to become agents of their own development. A way to achieve this, a dual methodology is adopted. Participatory action research. This breaks down the traditional research dichotomy thought in a iterative cycle of diagnosis, planning, actions, and reflection with the community. And critical discourse analysis. This complements by deconstructing the discursive frameworks that legitimate hegemonic public policy, revealing how language constructs social subjects and naturalists specific ways of understanding sport and body. The theoretical the theoretical framework is structured around four main axes, which problematize the relationship between power, body, space, and politics. Biopolitics and governmentally, as Major Foucault think, from this perspective, public sport policies are not merely offerings of well-being, but rather technologies of governance that regulate the lives of the population. Style thought focus because governmentally manage the behaviors of individuals by influencing their habits, leisure times, and bodies. Community or neighborhood sports can function as a device of social control, promoting docile, healthy, and productive bodies while simultaneously contain potential conflicts in perimetral areas. High performance sports acts as a device of nationalism and meritocratic exaltation, where the body becomes a symbol of individual success and national prestige. In other words, the social production of space and equality, as Henry Lefebvre and David Harvey think. Access to sport and physical activity is profoundly special. Lefebvre argues that space is not a neutral stage but a social construct. Sport policy materializes the logic of powers in the territory. Following Harvey's special anxiety is evident in the unequal distribution of infrastructure. Central neighborhoods concentrate high quality facilities, while the peripheries suffer from precarious, non existent, or inaccessible facilities. This geography of access reflects and reproduces social inequalities, limiting the right to the city for marginalized communities. The idea of habits of Pierre Bourdieu, habitus and sporting fields. Bodily preference and practice are neither natural nor merely individuals, but are structured by the habitus systems of internal disposition of each social class. The sporting fields is a space structured where the legitimacy of a certain practice is contested. Hegemonic public policies tend to impose specific sporting habitus, generally associated with Olympic or mass participation sports, rendering invisible and delegitimizing other community-based recreational or cultural bodily practice specific to neighborhoods. This framework allows us to analyze how access is mediated not only by economic factors but also by inequal cultural and social capital. In other words, critical pedagogy of Paulo Freire is important. Freire's works is the ethical and methodological foundation of the participatory action research phase. His concept of conscientization is central. It is the process in which community thought the dialogue cease to be a passive object of police and recognize themselves as subjects capable of reading and writing their words. This project seeks to empower the community to name its own bodily needs, subverting the banking logic of public policy, where the state deposits programs into an empty community. Backgrounds supporting the research. The background is organized into three main lines. The first is theoretical and conceptual backgrounds. Boundary distinction provides the tools to understand that sport practice are structured by class habits and that the sport field is a space of struggle. Foucault, his concept of biopower and governments allow us to desnaturalize sport policies, interpreting them as technologies for managing the lives of the population. Lefebvre, the production of space, offers the basics for analyzing how the territorial distribution of sports infrastructure materialize power relation, and Freire provides the ethical frameworks for participatory action research, criticizing the banking model and postulating the horizontal construction of knowledge. The literature review reveals a significant gap. While there are valuable theoretical contribution and critical empirical studies, few works explicitly articulate a critical analysis of state discourse, which a community co-designs methodology such as participatory action research within the specific context of San Luis and its external borders dynamic. Most of research is limited to diagnosis of critical without proposing a concrete path for grassroots transformation. This project seeks to fill this gap by proposing not only an analysis of technology of governance, but also a concrete action protocol for the community reappropriation. In this way, its position physical education as a field of knowledge capable of critically intervening in the public spheres and the construction of more democratic and territorially rooted policy. This is the end. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much.